Hi guys, Jangro here, and welcome back to my Valhelsia Enhanced Vanilla Hardcore world. We are working on Create. Our goal in the near term here is to get a tree farm, and that's what we're working toward. We're going to dig in deep into the different Create components and things we need to do on the way so we can learn all about Create. So stick around. Okay, the first thing I want to do is take another look at our water wheels, and you can see here that the stress capacity is at 256 for each wheel. And I didn't realize it, but it turns out we can improve on that. So thanks to someone in the comments in the last video. As an illustration here, let's take a look at the water wheel like this on the ground. There we go. Get this thing flattened. So the water, we want the water to flow this way. So if we take a bucket of water and put the source right here, we're getting 256 stress units because we have flowing water on 3 sides of this water wheel. Just the sides, I think, matter. So if we block this here, we're getting 128. If we open this up and block it over here, we get 192. So I guess we get 2 times 64 for that first side. And then it adds 64 to the next side. And then it adds another 64 for this side. If we could get this final side, we could get to 320. But I can't figure out how to get this last side to get some flow because this water is pushing both ways. So laying with the wheel on its side, I don't know. It seems like the best I can do is 256. Maybe one of you can tell me how to do better than that. But this is an interesting way to get a nice, easy vertical rotation going. But when we have this configuration, we can use, turns out we can use soul sand. Okay, so now we have water flowing on 3 sides of this wheel, but we have another side that we can get water flowing on. And it turns out you can do this with soul sand, which is brilliant. So let's grab some soul sand. And if we put some soul sand right down here, and then put a water block right in here, the bubbles push the water upwards. And we get our full 320 stress units. So let's go ahead and put soul sand under each of these ends, and we need a water source block on each of those, or it still won't work because we don't get the bubbles. So if we put one there, this is going to make a mess for a little while. Let's just float. And the bubbles form on each wheel. Let's close this up. There we go. And now as we look at each wheel, they're each generating 320. So that's 5 times 320, which is 5 times 3 is 1,500 plus another 100, 1,600 stress units to work with. And as a reminder, this one's using 640. So it's using up 2 of these wheels essentially at this speed. But of course we can turn it off and use the stress unit somewhere else. Okay, before we progress further toward the tree farm, we need to still make some components to it. Let's take a look at the encased fan, which is what most people use to power their tree farms. So this would be a good time to take a look at that. But let's take a really good look at it. So the encased fan, in order to make that, which I've already got one, but it needs a propeller, which needs iron plates, which is why we needed to make the mechanical press first to get those plates. Now the encased fan does a number of different things. So we need to attach it to rotational force to make it turn. And we can just expand off this direction and do something over here with it, but that requires that we have our mechanical press running in order for that to run. So let's expand off over in this direction. And in order to do that, we can use a thing called a gearbox. And the gearbox allows us to kind of turn corners and change the rotational direction of a shaft. So we could put this right here. If we put this gearbox right here, it gives us rotation in this direction. But it changed the direction also over here. So it's sending things from that chest now over to this chest. And I guess that doesn't really matter. We can put things in, this is our input chest over here instead of this one. But if we didn't want to change the direction of that belt, there are a couple things we could do. We could just put this back. See, now they're going back in. We can use this point right here to move, to kind of take our power off it. So if we put the gearbox down here, it's just grabbing the rotational power from this shaft right here, and it's sending it off in this direction. And now we can put some shafts over here in this direction. Let's just make ourselves a little bit of room. And we'll put the fan right here. And right away we can see that it blows air, and it's moving me. And that can move players, it can move mobs, it can move stuff that's in its flow. I need to turn off my pulsar here. So we can use this to move things. Now if we make it go the other direction, which we can do with this gear shift. So we put a gear shift down here. And it basically just transfers the rotation through it, but if we put a lever on it, it changes the direction. And now you can see it's pulling. And again, we can use this to move items. This starts to get really neat though when we turn this up in the air. So if we use a vertical gearbox, which we can make by just taking a gearbox and putting it in the crafting table, and it just switches its orientation. So we put a vertical gearbox right here, and we put the fan on here. It's now blowing, it's sucking down from above. See, it pulls me down when I jump. But if we switch its direction, it's going to blow things up. So it's blowing me up in the air. And that's useful for moving things moving things vertically. So we can use something called a chute. And if we put the chute on the fan here, we put a few of them. It's going to move things up. Now we need to get things into that chute, so we can do that by putting a funnel on here. Not there. Putting a funnel on here. And you see the arrows pointing in, so that means things will go into this chute, and our goggles are telling us that it pushes items upward. So if we put things into this funnel, like with a belt, or we can use something called a depot for that. Let's take this opportunity to take a look at some of these different components, because if you learn what all these different things do, it makes it easy to figure out how to solve a problem later when you're making a more complex machine. So we take some of this dirt and we put it on the depot. The depot is basically a stationary belt, and it interacts with things. So now all the dirt floated up there to the top. Let's go grab that and put a chest on it. So now if we put anything we put on this depot is going to end up in that chest. And if we right click with a wrench on these chutes, we can actually see what's happening inside them. But our dirt is in there. Let's try one more time. Now that we can see that stack of dirt. And it shoots move things pretty quickly, and they move entire stacks, unlike hoppers, which move items one at a time. So there you go. We just covered a bunch of things right here. A chute will pull out of that chest like a hopper. If this didn't have a fan under it, let's just do it. All the dirt's coming out down the bottom. And of course, if we put a chest right here and put stuff in this chest, you can see it's a really fast hopper. Okay, so the next thing we can do with encased fans, there are a ton of things to do with encased fans. And it is smelting, smoking, washing, and haunting. So let's make 4 of these if we can. And we'll set up a station for each thing. And let's get 4 depots. And let's kind of set up our assembly line here. I have too much stuff in my inventory. So if we run a belt down this whole length, then we can power all of these fans. Hopefully this is going to spin them the right way. Let's test one out. We put a fan right here. Yes, it's blowing out, which is what we need. Good. So we'll put 4 fans in a row. And each of these is going to do a different thing. So if we put, let's see. Put things on the ends. And we have water and lava. We can't put them next to each other. So we'll do the... I don't think the campfires will be affected by those. Let's put down depots here. Oops. So we've got water, campfire, soul campfire, and lava. So we've got all the different things that get advancements for. So if we get these things blown at us, it hurts. There's an advancement for that, but I've already got it. Okay, so now we can put things on these depots. Let's clear out a little more. This thing just is too efficient. So if we put something here that can be smelted, like this raw iron, it will smelt this entire stack of raw iron. Likewise, let's put dirt on the soul campfire. You can see that's working. And we'll put chicken, raw chicken, on the smoker. And we'll put gravel on the washer. It takes a while because it's doing a stack at a time, but the iron just finished. It just smelted 64 raw irons. And here in a second, this will finish and turn this dirt into soul soil. And I think that's already cooked. Did that? There it is. Turned that into chicken, and it turns the gravel. Washing gravel creates 2 things. Flint and some small percentage of iron. And if we look in here at gravel, at washing, it has a 25% chance of creating flint and a 25% chance of creating iron nuggets. And so now we can just grab these things off with a right click with an empty hand. So we got 18 flint and 9 iron nuggets from that stack of gravel. So this is a great way to get, basically an iron factory by washing gravel. So you can create a cobblestone generator, crush it into gravel, wash it into iron and flint. Let's go take care of this guy right here. So there's the 4 different types of processing you can do with a fan. Before we move on, so you saw how this funnel can take things off a depot. We can put funnels on these depots, and they would take whatever we put on off right away. So it would not be on there long enough to cook. However, later we'll have access to brass funnels, and brass funnels have filters on them. So we could put a brass funnel on this depot that's filtered for iron ingots, and then if we put the nuggets down here, it would not, I mean, the raw iron on here, it would not pull the raw iron off. It would just pull off the ingots because it's filtered, and then that way we can start to do some automatic processing. We'll get into that later. So the last thing we can do with the encased fan, let's make one more encased fan, and we'll need a campfire. This will work with a magma block too. Magma block would be easier because we can break it and it won't destroy. Let's see if we can put this in a place that will be permanent. So put a campfire right here. And if we put down an encased fan with a shift click, so it's pointing down, the heat from the fire will turn the fan. Now it's not turning now because you also need to put a lever on it. So if we put the lever and flip the lever, now you can see we're getting 64 stress units, really weak power, but that's all we need for our tree farm. So there's the, I think, final purpose of an encased fan. Moving things around, pushing things up, all kinds of processing, and generating a really slow but infinite stress generator. And we're going to use this as the basis for our tree farm. Now, before we can proceed with our tree farm, we need to make brass. And again, we can make brass very easily with Tech Reborn. We can do that right now, but we are going to do this the create way. And so over here, we're going to make put a mixer down. Now a mixer, well, let's just look up brass again. The create brass ingot is created with mixing, and so we need a mechanical mixer, a basin, and a blaze burner in order to make brass. So first, a mixer. I don't have a recipe, but we can. Now we need to make a whisk, and we can make a whisk out of stuff we have, and now we should be able to make the mixer. What are we missing in the middle? Andesite casing. We have some, don't we, or did we use it all up? We used it all up. And we make our mixer. And we need a basin. Easy. And we need a blaze burner. And this is an empty blaze burner. And we need to fill it up with a blaze. So let's head over and catch ourselves a blaze in our blaze burner. So over here in our blaze spawner room, there they go. And we'll head downstairs where they're going. And so now we just take our empty blaze burner and right click on a blaze with it. And we have now a working blaze burner back out here. We'll put this right over here. And on top of that goes the basin. And on top of that goes the whisk. I mean the mechanical mixer. And now we have to get the mixer spinning fast enough so that it can operate the mixing operation in the basin. And we'll put copper and zinc in there. In order to do that, we're going to need some cogs, a small cog wheel, and some shafts. So that one can go there, and this can come down to bring it all the way down. Is this going to make it easy? A vertical gearbox. Just spin it with the wrench. So now we have this turning that. So if we take another gearbox right here, and a shaft. And this needs to be a vertical gearbox. So we change a gearbox into a vertical gearbox. And now it's spinning. Now, if that wasn't spinning fast enough to operate, I think it would say so. But let's see. Let's test this out. So again, we need zinc and copper. Take some copper and some zinc. And our andesite casings so we can stand on it. Let's just do one at a time here. So get these out of the way. If we just right click, no, we have to throw it in. So we throw that in there, and we throw that in there. I'm pretty sure it's going fast enough, but the blaze needs to be fueled. So we need some fuel. So if we get some coal, and we right click the blaze with it, now the mixer works. And what's left in here is two pieces of brass. All right, so this is really manual to do it this way. So we're going to add a couple things to this. We're going to expand our belt over this way. So if we take a very long belt down here, from here, all the way down to here. Now, when there's a belt running past the basin, when it's finished processing, it will spit it out onto the belt. And down here, we will put a chest to collect the output. And we need a funnel on it. And the last thing we need is a way to get stuff into that basin. You can do that with a belt running up. Okay, we'll run things up this way. So we put a shaft here and a shaft here and a belt. Well, let's work backwards. We'll put a chest right here with a funnel. So if we put a funnel here, now we just got to get that belt going up into the basin. So we're going to need a gearbox. That's going to go this here. And then we just need a shaft. Okay, so now whatever we put in here in this chest is going to go up into the basin, get processed and spit out and go into that chest. So if we put 63 copper ingots and 63 zinc ingots. Now if we had brass funnels, we could configure that to send out an entire stack at a time, but we don't. It's all going into the basin. It's not cooking them because we have not fueled our blaze. So let's give our blaze some fuel. And now it is processing our zinc and copper into brass, which is going into that chest. And we should get end up with 2 stacks of brass because you get 2 brass for each pair of ingredients. That's enough for now. We'll let that continue. So at this point this is using 320 stress units, and this would be using 320. So now we've got 640, but we've got plenty of stress capacity. Okay, so we've got brass, and that is a huge milestone in Created. It opens, it's kind of the gateway to the later game create stuff. Deployers, brass funnels, which are required to do any sort of automation. So we're going to get going on that. And the next thing is the tree farm. And that is a big project, so that's going to be a whole episode on its own. We're going to stick that right over there. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel. Helps a lot. Like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.